everyone, happy Sunday. I hope you're really looking forward to this video, which is all about how to write a good title for any blog post. I'm looking at specifically the ones on Medium, but honestly, this is just true of no matter where you're writing, how to write a good title. So before we dive in, as always, a caveat. There are no tricks. There are sometimes really good stories that don't follow this model. There are sometimes really bad stories that do follow the model. There are other factors at play for the success of a story other than the title. Okay, so why do we care about titles? You probably hear a lot about how to do good writing, how to write well, how to engage your readers and get them to come back after they finish your story. Little cameo from Astrid there. What we don't talk about as much is how to get them there in the first place. So when you're browsing on any platform, Google, YouTube even, or Medium, you're looking for something that's going to catch your attention. This is the very first thing that a good title for your blog post does. It says, here, pick me. This is why you need to read me. I'm going to solve this problem that I know you have, or I'm going to entertain you, or I'm going to make you laugh, or I'm going to give you something that surprises you. That's what every single title, every single good title will do. It will get the reader to say, I want to solve that problem. I want to read that story. I'm going to click right now. Click. Okay, that's step one done. Step two is a little harder. You have to deliver on the promises that your title made. This means that even though you might be tempted to use clickbait in the first round, you can't do that because that's not going to deliver on the promises that your title made. The reason that matters, the reason that views aren't as important is because you're not just doing this one-off with one reader. You're building a relationship with readers. Imagine if I said to you, hey, if you give me $1, I will tell you how to get your cat to always love you. And you'd be like, oh my God, yes, please tell me. You give me the $1 and I tell you, there is no secret. Cats do whatever they want. You'd be like, what the heck? Why did you make me give you $1 for that? And then the next time I'd be like, hey, do you want to know how to find out how to get a cat to always sit on your lap? You'd be like, no, I know what you did last time. I'm not going to get $1 to you now. I don't trust you. I'm not going to listen to your garbage tips. That's what happens every time you don't deliver on a promise. So a title is the beginning and the end in a way. So you catch their attention, but you give them a reason why. You answer the question that you promised you'd answer. You give them what you told them you'd give them. Hook and merchandise. That's what a good title does. Let's get into each of those parts, how you can write a title that does both of those things. So, attracting attention. First, the easiest tip I'm going to give you in this whole video, don't write something longer than 10 words. Why? Okay, I know that like a lot of title gurus will say it has to be between 6 and 7 words. That's the average of all the top titles. This has nothing to do with that. This is just a little bit of logistics. If your title is longer than 10 words, people aren't going to read it. They might miss the crucial word. Like people are skimming places to look for the right thing to read. Make it easy on them. Don't go more than 10 words. Give them what they can kind of absorb in an eye blink. And furthermore, if it's longer than that, I know Medium for sure and possibly other blog places too, they start cutting off. So if you're running out of space, you're probably saying too much in your title. Secondly, use some kind of spicy word. Okay, I know I just said no clickbait. This is not what that's about. So I'm not saying like top 10 surprising reasons to click here. None of that. Just something a little unusual. So you probably did some kind of reading exercise in English class where you were like, okay, I've written here sad. How can I punch this up? Okay, I can go with miserable, tragic, devastating. You know, each of those has its own slightly different flavor. So it's your job as the writer to try to find out what your story is. What emotion are you eliciting? It's not just sadness. There's going to be something else, a more interesting word you can use that gives a better nuance of what your piece is about. It's not sad. It's emotionally disruptive or, you know, something else. Dig into your story, find out what that better, spicier word is. This also has the benefit of standing out among all the other stories on the platform. Not many people are doing this work. That's going to lift your story head and shoulders above the rest. A few quick caveats here. Don't use jargon and don't use words that people won't understand. So for example, when I write about my cats, I don't write, Leopardus felinus or whatever. I just write cat, even though the other one is arguably spicier. I want to make sure first and foremost that my title is understood. People know what they're gonna get. Sometimes you might just want to grab a thesaurus and grab sort of super obscure unused words, don't do that either. You want something that's commonly used, but just not that commonly used. You'll know it when you see it. You might have to write it out a couple of different titles, but you will feel the right one when you get there. Third, what is the authority? So this attracts attention because you're telling them why they should listen to you right from the front. Are you the authority? What can you put in the title to explain why you're telling that story? 10 things I've learned as a serial dater, something like that. I'm the serial dater. I'm not this. I'm married. I'm not the serial dater, but the serial dater, that's why you should be reading this story, because I have experience. I've dated 10,000 people. I'm the authority. Is the scientist an authority? Can you use a word like scientist, psychologist, researcher, something like that? That's going to be like, oh, this person obviously is going to tell me something about people who know what they're talking about. Or is it a friend, a relative? Try to put that in your title. Just letting people know who they're going to be hearing it by, rather than making them guess, is going to get their attention. Okay, the second half, delivering on promises. So hopefully you've done the first half. You've done a title that is not flashy, but attention grabbing, not clickbaity, but enticing. They're like, yeah, this looks really cool. How do you make sure that you deliver on promises? Okay, so first, and most obvious and easiest to fix, no clickbait. Quick digression, the internet as it is today is kind of on it's not a meritocracy, it's a viewocracy, right? So people are just gonna get views because of the ad revenue. That works in the short term. If you wanna get views in the short term, clickbait is the way to go. If you want to build a relationship with your readers, people who are going to come back not once, but 10 times, and who are going to keep coming back to you and start looking on you as an authority, and who wouldn't want that over a few short-term extra clicks? If that's what you want, don't use clickbait. If you use things like 10 surprising reasons why, make sure that the reasons are genuinely surprising. If you say things like, this one weird trick you'll never have heard of, make sure it is a one weird trick that they'll never have heard of. Make sure that any word you use is backed up. It is deeply miserable if that's what you're going to tell them. It is something that's going to change their life. Make sure that you're not using clickbait. Secondly, what type of story are you writing? Are you answering a question? Make sure your headline is that question or alludes to that question. Are you giving them a rant? Make sure that your title makes that clear. Does your title say how to or like 7 ways to? Make sure that that's the structure that your story is following. Finally, when you're all done, go back, read your title, read your story. Are you giving what you've promised? You'll know if you have. And if not, then either your story or your title needs to change, because again, the short term, it feels good to get something out there and you're like, yes, I'm going to get clicks. But every click, every time that you disappoint a reader, that's a reader that you might not get back. That's a second chance that you're not going to get. Spend some time up front and make sure that you are delivering on the promise of your super enticing, tasty looking headline. Okay, there are a few places you can break the rules. So for example, poetry and fiction, I'm excluding those. If you write in that, there's a whole different set of rules that I'm not that familiar with, so I can't give you good advice on this. There are very successful poets and fiction writers on Medium. I'll list a few in the video description. Go to them, ask them, read their stories, and find out how they make what they do work for them. If you want some extra homework, there are a few exercises you can do to improve your title writing. First, write 10 different titles for the piece that you have right now. 10, at least 10. The more you can do, the better. And give them to your friends and be like, okay, which one of these are you most interested in? That's going to give you the first half. Secondly, read your story aloud to somebody else, or even your cat if you can't get any willing volunteers, and then ask them, you can't do this with your cat, but hopefully you have a friend, ask that person, that friend, that family member, what do you think the title of this piece should be? And it has to at least overlap slightly with the title that you have in mind. At least slightly. Or you can do the other way around, give them the title and say, what do you think this story is going to be about? And make sure that you're addressing the points that they mention or changing the story or the title if you're not. So those are a few quick ways to improve your title writing. At the end of the day, there are no real rules for how good a title can be. There's no formula, there's no plug in and get money out, much as I wish there was. All you can do is write a title that gets attention, that makes people want to click, and then you have to deliver on that promise. You have to give them what they clicked for. That's how you write a good title. Okay, I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you have any other questions, please let me know. And big shout out to Maria, who emailed me with this question and made me think like, that's such a good question. What is a good title? How can you write one? So hopefully this answered your question, Maria. Okay, everyone, have a great Sunday. Have a great rest of your week, and I'll see you all next Friday. Bye.